In a world where brutality often masquerades as brilliance, where volume replaces value, and theatrics often trump technique, boxing has long stood as a theater of excess. The crowd cheers louder for the trash talker than the tactician, and the sports legends are often as famous for their soundbites as their scorecards. The flamboyant thrive. The arrogant are adored. And into this maelstrom of noise, one man arrived carrying nothing but silence, and fists forged in purpose. Naoya Inoue didn't walk in with a slogan. He didn't rant his way into relevance. He emerged like a storm, not with thunderous declarations, but with the quiet, calculated chaos of destruction. While the sport leaned into spectacle, he became its solemn reckoning. He didn't need neon lights or pre-fight drama. He never called for attention because he never needed it. While others shadowboxed for cameras and grinned through press conferences, Inoue carved masterpieces behind closed doors. Every movement was honed in solitude, far from media hype, in a realm where pain and discipline did the talking. He moved like wind, struck like lightning, and vanished like mist. The sweet science has never been short of noise. But what makes Inoue so unnerving is his refusal to play that game. He stripped the sport of its distractions and reminded the world what happens when mastery meets mayhem. His fists whispered truths that roared louder than any boast. True destruction doesn't need applause. When critics spoke of him, it was often with dismissive undertones. The Western media didn't quite understand him. They saw him as a regional novelty, a talented technician, perhaps, but not someone molded in the fire of their own mythos. Who has he really fought? They questioned with curled lips. What does Japanese competition teach you about fighting real champions? They derided the divisions he ruled, branding him king of miniature realms. And yet, those in the know, the analysts who studied frame by frame, the coaches who saw through bluster, knew the truth. Behind Inoue's stoic gaze was a fighter not born of television segments or curated beefs, but of terrifying skill and surgical cruelty. Oh, while others postured, Inoue prepared. While the media mocked, he meditated on the art of demolition. And when he finally answered the world, he didn't do so with a microphone. He answered with punches, clean, cruel, and final. Each performance was a reminder that violence, when measured and meaningful, doesn't need a soundtrack. He didn't just defeat opponents, he dismantled them. He unstitched their footwork, shattered their confidence, and broke them down to the raw, exposed truth that they were never ready. Inoue didn't celebrate. He didn't scream. He bowed. And then he walked away, leaving behind silence, broken spirits, and I'll point one of the most emphatic statements of his career came when he moved into the super bantamweight division, a move that many believed would finally expose the limits of his legend. By then, Inoue had already conquered 3 weight classes, each with increasing brutality. But this next step, many insisted, would be different. Here waited Stephen Cool Boy Steph Fulton, an undefeated American technician, a champion forged in the trenches of the U.S. boxing scene, where flash meets footwork and charisma meets craft. Fulton wasn't just confident, he was contemptuous. Inoue's power? Overrated. His resume? Inflated. The Japanese media buzz? Misguided. Fulton spoke with swagger. He's Japanese, he said. That's the only reason for the hype. He leaned into the press conference cameras with a smirk that said he had already won. He called Inoue small, overrated, and a product of isolation. At weigh-ins, he postured. At interviews, he jabbed, not with his fists, but with his words. He was the archetype of American boxing bravado, the gifted talker with a record to back it up and a chip on his shoulder. Everything about him screamed threat. Except for one thing, he wasn't ready for silence. Inoue gave nothing in return. No response. No rebuttal. Just the same quiet intensity. the calm before a coming storm. And when the bell rang in Tokyo, it didn't take long for the truth to surface. Inoue wasn't just stronger. He was smarter. He didn't brawl, he broke rhythm. He didn't charge, he hunted. Each jab was data, each feint a probe. And then, when he had the measure of Fulton's heartbeat, he struck. What followed wasn't just a win. It was a dismantling. Fulton, the slick mover, was reduced to reacting. His jab became a reach. His footwork turned frantic. By the third round, the confidence had bled from his body language. Then came the sixth. A right hand. Not wild. Not desperate. A blade, not a hammer. It split Fulton's defenses and sent him crashing. The crowd gasped not just at the impact, but at the inevitability of it all. Fulton rose, tried to fire back, but something inside him had already cracked. Inoue could feel it. The storm moved in. He cornered him. A few punches later, Fulton slumped against the ropes, hollow-eyed. The referee waved it off. And just like that, the myth grew. Not through roar, but recognition. The world hadn't just seen a great performance. They'd seen the brutal silencing of arrogance. But Fulton wasn't the first, and he wouldn't be the last. Inoue's career is a graveyard of doubters. A series of opponents who believed the same lie, that humility was weakness and that quiet meant soft. Back in 2016, Inoue crossed into American soil for the first time to face Antonio Nieves. The bout, set as an undercard attraction, was supposed to test the Japanese prodigy against rugged American resistance. Nieves, a brash fighter with local support, scoffed at the idea that a foreigner could match his grit. "He's had it easy," he said. "I'm different." He wasn't. Inoue approached the fight like a surgeon. Round by round, he picked Nieves apart, body, head, body again. There were no wasted punches, no errant rage. Just efficiency soaked in cruelty. Nieves, who once swaggered into the ring, began flinching at shadows. His corner saw it before the audience did. This wasn't going to end well. By round 6, they threw in the towel. And with it, Inoue planted his first flag on American soil, quietly, completely. This pattern repeated, year after year. Critics raised questions. Inoue answered with fists. Paul Butler came next. The British champion wasn't arrogant, but he believed he could survive. His goal wasn't to win, but to endure. He ran. He clung. He refused to engage. But Inoue didn't chase wildly. He stalked. He controlled. He toyed. And by round 11, after hours of mental and physical pressure, he unleashed a flurry that crushed the last of Butler's will. The referee stepped in. Another belt. Another demonstration. Another man broken by persistence. Some opponents brought movement, hoping to evade the storm. Yoan Boyeaux danced for survival but was dropped in the very first round. A hook found his jaw, and a liver shot ended the night in the third. There was no magic trick. Just inevitability. Then came Juan Carlos Payano, a former world champion who thought experience could hold off destruction. 70 seconds. That's all he lasted. One right hand. Lights out. And still, the world hesitated to believe. They didn't understand that Inoue's genius isn't just brute strength. It's in the spaces between punches. In the geometry of destruction. He sees patterns before they form. He creates pressure without ever overreaching. His jab isn't just to gauge distance, it's to manipulate the opponent's rhythm. His footwork is less escape, more invitation. He moves you where he wants you, not where you want to go. Every body shot is a message. Every missed shot is a lesson. He doesn't just wear you down. He rewrites your understanding of safety. And when the moment comes, when your heart races faster than your feet, he ends you. What sets Inoue apart is not just the precision. It's the philosophy. He doesn't chase headlines. He doesn't call for big money fights. He doesn't play the game of boxing politics. He only asks for the next challenge. And he meets it not with emotion, but with execution. There's no fury in his punches, only finality. He doesn't celebrate knockouts with howls. He bows, as if to apologize for the violence, as if to show respect to the man whose dreams he just erased. There is something ancient about him, something timeless. He reminds fans of samurai discipline, of warriors who trained for death but carried life with reverence. He fights with fury but finishes with grace. He enters as a man. He leaves as a myth. The kind that doesn't age. The kind that lingers. And yet, despite all this, there are still those who question. Still those who doubt. Still, those who believe the noise is more powerful than the silence. They look at his humility and see softness. They look at his weight class and see irrelevance. But ask the men who stood across from him. Ask the ones who believed the same thing. They'll tell you, he isn't hype. He isn't media-built. He is consequence. Because when you mock the monster, when you dismiss his achievements or belittle his origins, you don't provoke a fighter. You awaken something colder, something older. You summon a force of nature. And nature does not negotiate. It does not argue. It erases. Inoue never fights for revenge, though his path is littered with the wreckage of doubters. He doesn't retaliate with insults. He responds with lessons, taught in bruises and blood. Each performance is a sermon of discipline, a warning wrapped in precision. He doesn't just win. He makes winning look inevitable. He doesn't just dominate. He makes dominance feel destined. He is not just a champion. He is the consequence of underestimation. He is what happens when the world forgets that silence is not absence, it is preparation. He is the stillness before the collapse, the calm before everything changes. And so he walks on, not as a spectacle, but as a storm cloaked in calm. And when his name is finally spoken with the reverence it deserves, when the world finally admits what purists already know, he will not gloat. He will not boast. He will bow. And then he will disappear, into the silence from which he came, leaving behind only bruises, legends, and awe.